The Secrets of Stargate is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give.
You're listening to The Secrets of Stargate, episode 52.
Janet West, Jackson has identified the seventh symbol.
All right, here we go. We are about to try to make a connection.
All we gotta do is bust out of here, commandeer the ship, and fly on home.
Indeed. You say that a lot.
I know that this could be dangerous. But this is our job, right? It's what we signed on to do.
It was never about going home. It's about getting us to where we're going.
Hi, I'm Jack Baruzzini, and you're listening to The Secrets of Stargate, where we talk about the hidden meanings and deeper layers found in the Stargate movies, TV series, and more. And joining me today are Father Cory Sticha. Hi, Father.
Howdy, Jack.
And Lisa Jones. Hi, Lisa.
Hey, Jack.
And Victor Lambs. Hey, Victor.
Hi, Jack.
All right, today we are discussing the 10th episode of Season 3, Forever in a Day. While liberating the Abydonian prisoners, Daniel Jackson is confronted by Amunet, who is in control of Share. He attempts to communicate with Share, but she attacks him with a Karakesh. Teal'c intervenes, but is forced to kill Amunet/Share to save Daniel's life. After Daniel recovers and finds out that Teal'c killed Share, he resigns from the SGC and refuses to forgive Teal'c. Daniel begins having dreams of Share, who tells him he must find the boy. As these dreams get progressively more frequent and confusing, Daniel is forced to confide in Teal'c, who tells him that the offspring of two Goa'uld hosts is called a Harcissus, and that they have the complete genetic memory of the entire Goa'uld race. After rejoining SG-1 and returning to the planet where Share died, she visits him in a dream and tells him that the Harcissus child of Amunet and Apophis has been taken to the planet Keb to protect him from the System Lords, and that Daniel must find him and protect him. Yep. This is the Sad Boy Daniel episode.
Yep, that dang boy, sad boy Daniel, tell you what.
Nice. What are your thoughts on this episode, Father Cory?
You know, it's one of those episodes that it exists basically to advance the plot, and that's really about it, the overarching plot. Mm-hmm. And that's really about it, you know. I mean, part of me understands Daniel's reaction, and part of me is like, dude, you knew this was going to come eventually anyways, right? I mean, you could hope all you want that you'd save her, but you knew this was coming someday.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those episodes that's just kind of like, yes, I know it's important for the storyline, the overarching storyline, but it's still kind of a meh episode.
Yeah, it was very much just there to get from point A to point B.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Lisa?
Yeah, I agree. I guess they did try to think of a really interesting way to tell this story. So the way that we don't see Share die in the beginning, it kind of jumps from, Teal'c having the staff weapon and then Daniel in the infirmary, and then you get all these weird dream flashbacks and stuff. So I thought they were trying to make it interesting, and it probably was. It's not an episode that I go back and watch. So, I mean, it, like I said, it frees him up and gives him a new purpose on the show, which I think was kind of necessary after 3 years of I'm trying to find my wife. So, which, I mean,
mm-hmm.
very admirable, but it gives him kind of a new direction.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. What about you, Victor?
Yeah, not one of my favorite episodes, but I do like the twist at the end where it turns out that the entire episode has happened in the span of a couple of seconds. And it's just been beamed into his brain through the ribbon device, kind of like the whole episode. Although I think they could have made it land with a little bit more impact. The episode doesn't have quite the emotional impact it could. It's not very artfully executed, and I don't know, I can't put my finger on exactly like what would have made it better, but they could have kind of set up that twist at the end a little bit more, like, they left some breadcrumbs or something for you to find on the way there. But
yeah, because I did not realize that's what the twist was, and that's something I was going to bring up. Like at the end I was confused because he's there and her body's there, but I thought they'd buried her body. So at first I thought it was like him like visualizing that, but you see them all standing there with her. So that makes a lot more sense.
And so the ribbon device has basically linked her mind to his mind and everything that's happened, which explains why Kosov can see her, why everybody is, kind of directing him to forgive Teal'c and stuff. And unfortunately for Daniel, he has to sit through that funeral again.
Yeah.
There's a repetition there because he had to, in the Gamekeeper, he had to watch his parents get killed over and over. And so in this one, he has to watch his wife basically die and grieve her over and over. Yeah. Someone likes to torture.
Yeah. My advice for women is don't be on Stargate SG-1 because most of the female characters die.
You want to be Sam.
Sam is the only one is really the only one who doesn't.
She's it.
Yeah. He's the only one with protection. Yeah, because I did find it almost unintentionally funny at the end there, where I know we're skipping right to the end, but when he goes into the tent and there's just like that little like gray spot on the floor.
Yeah.
Just it made me think of a Spinal Tap when the drum explodes.
Yeah. And so that kind of makes the title make sense, Forever in a Day, which is a takeoff on the phrase forever and a day, which just means eternity. So this was like forever, was compressed. A large scale of time was compressed into a small scale of time. Although I hear that in some German program guides, the name of the episode that they gave it was Share ist tot, which means Share is dead, which I think is a very German episode title.
That spoils it there from the beginning, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. No poetry. No, just like, nope, she's dead.
Yeah.
That part of the storyline's over. Next.
Okay, then.
Nice. Yeah, I do like that opening battle that we get. You jump into that. That was cool to see.
Of course, it's Daniel's fault because, he had to go rushing after Share instead of, escaping like everybody else did.
Yeah.
But I started this episode and then I thought, did we start in the middle of an episode? Like what happened? Because I turned it on and I turned away from it and I look back and we're in the middle of this battle scene, and I'm like, did I miss the setup? What are we doing? Then I'm like, no, we're still at the beginning. I'm like, I thought I'd completely forgotten how this episode started. And it did take me for a few minutes to figure out what was going on, which, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
the opening kind of reminded me of one of those tower defense games. You play them on your phone or whatever. First wave, 5 enemies. Second wave, 20 enemies. Third wave, half the army.
Yeah, they really did spend their entire beefy extra budget on this episode. Like when you see the Jaffa horde of 2 or 3 dozen, beefy Jaffa come over the ridge and down the hill. There was a lot that I did like in that intro. I think it was Peter DeLuise kind of apologizing in advance for the rest of the episode not having a ton of action in it. And so it's front load. But Stargate will do this. They'll front load the boring episodes with a lot of action, just to keep you around after the credits and stuff. But there was a lot of really cool things there, and was that a 50 caliber or a 20 millimeter machine gun on the front of a Maup or something. Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah, that was cool to see.
Yeah, I want one of those. I mean, no ATF, I don't need the gun. Yes, I do, but I want one of those because it was cool.
Park it out in front of your church.
Yeah, just park it out on the church lawn.
Yeah.
What was funny is this is almost a bottle episode. For those who don't know, a bottle episode are episodes that are done on existing sets because they're cheap, and this is almost one because you do have Daniel Jackson's apartment, and you do have the planet where they have the battle, but otherwise everything is in SGC.
Yeah,
or a tent. Yeah, this episode isn't tents. There, I did my dad joke for the episode.
You're waiting for it. You're waiting for it.
Nice. Yeah, speaking of Daniel's apartment, it was very, very cluttered.
Yeah,
it didn't look like the kind of apartment a bachelor would have. I feel like.
Yeah, we saw it the first time he died too, in season 1. Yeah, but it's in a very noisy neighborhood because he keeps being woken up by cars honking or cars driving by. 2 scenes in a row, he just car drive by. He wakes up and And she's
Well, it's
gone.
like downtown Colorado Springs, which is like this super mecca of busyness.
Not at all.
When they first showed it with all the stuff, like you get that shot, and there's just stuff. And my 15-year-old was with me, and she goes, "Oh, I like that."
What?
And I'm like, "Yeah, it looks like your room."
Yeah.
Specifically the cup of skulls, like cup with all the skulls on
She's
it.
like that
That's
dark
cool.
academia look. So she was sitting there going, "Well, not the blue. I don't like the blue on the walls, but all this stuff." She's like, "I just want to explore it." And I think they captured.
I mean,
it.
that looks like a Daniel Jackson. What do you think Daniel Jackson would have for his apartment? It's just stuff just kind of gets set on a table, and I know nothing about that, as you can see behind me here. But stuff just gets left where it's sat. And so absolutely, being cluttered is a Daniel Jackson thing.
And but they didn't give us any. Like the last time they were packing up the apartment, they gave us all these little kind of tidbits as to what he had, right? The ancient Egypt theme, but this time they didn't really you had to stop and pause and really look at it. They didn't give us any cool up close, except for his comforter. I mean, okay, that was a pure 90s comforter. I looked at my husband and I said, "I think you had that." In college.
You have to remember, though, that everything in this episode is being created in Daniel's subconscious. So maybe the comforter is significant to him, and that's why
Or it looked like every comforter you saw at every decent hotel you went to in the 90s.
All that maroon. Yeah. Burgundy was a big look. Burgundy and jewel tones. Burgundy and hunter green. Big deal.
Yeah.
The fact that everything's created out of Daniel's subconsciousness also, I think, explains some of the Sam shipping moments in this, where Sam brings him walnut cookies and is sad for him and stuff. And I don't know if that was just because in Daniel's mind, she is like that supportive friend role, or, there was a lot that, like, once you get to the end and you kind of look back over it, you're like, okay, so Jack dead named Caitlyn Jenner, but was it really Daniel dead naming Caitlyn Jenner in Jack's voice?
Okay.
Yeah, that is true.
I was going to say, Victor, I'm watching this and I'm like, dag nabbit, Victor is ruining Stargate for me. Because all I could think of during those scenes was Victor's Daniel Sam ship. And it's just like ruining it for me. But I'm like, aha.
It was a pretty like intimate hug, though.
Yeah, and she was like all teary, and I mean, she was really upset.
Well, she sat like on the edge of the bed there, or next to him on the bed, and
never saw that before.
And all that stuff.
Never saw it. Now I'm seeing it.
He also was able to, I guess, release some of his, pent up annoyance at Jack for all his ribbing of him.
Yeah,
he's like, "No, I won't miss you."
Yeah. But that was a great scene, and that it's like whenever Stargate wants to really say goodbye to somebody, or they highlight, it's like the Jack and Daniel relationship. It's like a throwback all the way to pilot, with the two of them. And I really did like that scene. That was a good moment in this.
It was also fun to see Dr. Rothman, who was Daniel's understudy.
He's a decathlete.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the weird thing is, I mean, because this is Daniel's subconscious, but he does join the SGC for a few more episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's not the last time we see him. So
yeah.
Which brings up does he join because Daniel says, hey, he would be a good addition to the team and I dreamed that he should be, or does he join separately from that?
Or was he already and just hadn't come on board yet?
I would assume he'd have to be in the pipeline for that, to have him be in there that quickly. But again, this is all based on Daniel's dream logic, so I guess anything goes, really. Yeah,
I mean, having been through a lot, not obviously the Stargate, but having been through top secret projects, they don't just, like say, oh, tomorrow you can show up and start work, know. Takes a little time to do background checks and stuff.
I was going to say, even to be like, hey, there's this thing called the Stargate. You're going to come and you're going to go through it. I mean, it wouldn't happen that fast.
No.
Exactly.
The Chapa Ai as a Kasuf. We get a lot of really good like Kasuf in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
You know, things just like Chapa Ai just sounds more credible whenever he says it.
Now, did he seem more expressive than normal? I mean, he's a fairly expressive character, but he seemed more expressive in this one than normal?
Yeah, partly. I mean, anything in this episode you can explain because it's Daniel's and Sharae shared, shared understanding of him. So maybe that's like Sharae sees him more as like, the dad or something. And, he doesn't bust out with any specific dad jokes, but so yeah, he does, which is good. And we get the cool pseudo-Egyptian funeral there with the heart being, lighter than a feather or as light as a feather, I guess.
Yep. Yeah, weighing against the feather of truth and all that. Yeah, that was cool to see. I did also like seeing Kusuf in his street clothes when he goes to Daniel's apartment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's in like the green jumper, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. For a second, when you first see him on screen, because it's from the side, it looks like it's Jacob Carter. Sitting there on the couch.
Yeah.
I guess the same hairline.
He's in The Chosen now. He plays one of the Pharisees. Yep. Well, Eric Avari is such a great actor.
Yeah, he's really
He
good.
really is. He shows up all over the place, but he's such a great actor. He's always a joy.
So are we gonna see any more of him now that he's, I guess, on Earth? But they send him back to Abydos, I think. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think we see him on Earth, but we do see him again.
Yep.
Now that we're on the hunt for the Harcesis.
Yep.
Yeah, so we get that set up, the child of Apophis and Amunet, who has all the genetic memory of all the Gould, and they really don't explain why, but we'll go with it.
I don't know, DNA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's the host child.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he's a human child with all the genetic memory, so that makes it strange.
That's why they said Eddie Murphy off to find him in Tibet.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of similarities there.
That's an 80s movie I do like.
I like that movie. We tried to show that to the kids. It didn't like
no, it doesn't.
They didn't grasp.
Can I have the knife? I want the knife. But yeah, there's no ground.
Back to 80s movies.
Yeah.
80s movies.
Yeah. But what I did
80s movie the other night. Sorry, we watched Real Genius. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know if we ever got any William Atherton in Stargate. I don't think we did.
Which one was that?
I'll have to check and see. He plays the. I don't know if he was he in. He had to be in Real Genius too. He always plays like the jerk, like military officer and stuff. Yeah.
I think he is.
Yeah.
I will look, but I think he is. I think he's in Atlantis.
Yeah, he is. He's Collateral Damage is the episode.
Oh wow. Okay. Cool.
Season 9. So it's not like till season 9.
Okay.
It was a full circle moment.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Still,
Yep.
Still a Stargate reference.
Yeah, it looks like Dr. Rothman shows up 2 more times.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
And no more after that.
yeah.
Because he becomes Gould.
Yep.
Forgot.
Yep.
One thing I really did like.
Oh, good.
Oh, go ahead.
I would say Shari's accent kind of faltered there the first time we see her when she shows up in the infirmary. First of all, she calls him just regular Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like she was a human Earth person and not with the accent and everything. And that every other time after that, she has her accent back. So I don't know if that was on purpose to add to the confusion of what we were perceiving or if that was a slip by the actress.
I think.
Well, good thing about episodes like this, you can say either or.
Yeah.
If it was a slip, you could just say, "Well, that was on purpose. We kept it on purpose instead of reshooting the scene."
Yeah, I think that was to like kind of indicate that this may be a fantasy version for Daniel of Sharae. But
Well, there was also a point where Teal'c doesn't call him Daniel Jackson, but just Daniel.
Yeah.
He always calls him Daniel Jackson. but there's one point where he didn't. And again, that's, was that a slip in writing, or was that on purpose to say, no, there's something strange here, and Daniel should have caught that if he wasn't grieving. He would have caught that wait a second, this isn't normal.
Yeah. It was written by Jonathan Glassner, so I have to assume that, it was intentional for the most part.
Yep.
But what I did really like is, so the main message that Sha're is trying to communicate to Daniel is, you have to find the boy, save the cheerleader, save the world, type thing. But more than that, like the main thing, as she's just been blasted by Teal'c, the other main message that's even, I think, critically more important is for Daniel to forgive Teal'c, which is the very first thing he does once he comes back into real time and realizes that she's really dead. That's very first thing he does, is tells Teal'c that he had no choice, which isn't exactly the same thing, but close enough. So I did like that. That's the core message. Without that forgiveness, without that relationship, pragmatically, there's no way they're going to find the Harcesis. But I did like that. To Sha're, even as she's just been killed by Teal'c, like the one thing or the second thing she wants to put in Daniel's mind is to forgive the guy who killed her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And I know they dropped a couple things like maybe if they'd had a sarcophagus, they could go to the Tok'ra and save her and all that. And it's interesting that we don't really see any of that pan out. Although I feel like Teal'c could have just kind of decked her with the staff weapon rather than blasting her, and maybe they could have taken her, but who knows? She has some gold, so she's more powerful.
And it was more, I'm sure it was reaction of, nope, got to kill her now before
he kills Daniel.
Because it's too late. He said that at one point he mentioned, whether it was part of the dream or not, that, he would have just had seconds left before he would have been dead.
Yeah.
Right.
And so we can imagine that's exactly what Teal'c's reaction was. Oh no, I got to kill him now.
Yeah. And you saw that he waited, he looked, and then he did it. So it showed that he wasn't just trigger happy. He actually considered what he was doing. Right. He knew the impact this would have on Daniel. Daniel would live, but his wife would die.
And it was likely because he shot Sha're that, Amunet gave up, control of Sha're long enough for Sha're to get the message to Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
So
I feel bad for Daniel, though. He's had a rough couple of years.
Yeah.
I want to say you ain't seen nothing yet, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Daniel's the guy that it just luck just
Doesn't
doesn't
suffer.
seem to be his friend.
Nice. I do think it's interesting that he and the actress who played Sha're, they actually had a kid together in real life, like around this time.
Mm-hmm. That's right. 'Cause
That's why she appeared pregnant.
yeah.
Wow.
And I think this was probably the most we've ever heard her speak. Actually, I was thinking about
I
how
think
much
so,
she
yeah.
had to say in this episode, and every other time we've ever seen Sha're or Amunet, it's just been, very short, like something to Daniel, or I mean, she never really had conversation, and so it was interesting to finally to get her to see her, act with words, and
have an actual character. Yeah.
If this had been a modern show, like for the previous 6 episodes leading up to this, he would have been having flashbacks of like Sha're or something, like, their life together on Abydos or something. And lots of we really got to find her, guys. Like, it's so critical. And just like these flashbacks of how great things were. And then Sha're is told,
This would have been like a 3-parter where they draw it out and
they hadn't even
slow motion her zapping him, and
there'd be a lot more crying.
And Teal'c Teal'c gets in a fight with Daniel. Daniel's just like punching Teal'c. He's like, you didn't have to kill her. You didn't have to kill her. And just like punches Teal'c. And Teal'c's like, I will not hit you, Daniel Jackson. And Daniel's like, no, you hit me. You would kill me like you killed Sha're. Do it. And then Teal'c's like, no, I will not, Daniel Jackson. And something like that. And that would have been like half of one episode.
I want an animator to recreate what Victor did. Yeah. I want to see that.
Because he's actually like slinging punches.
Yeah.
Well, and you think about it, they hadn't even mentioned Sha're or Abydos.
Yeah.
When was last time? And so for this episode to
Mhm.
open with them on Abydos, I think that was, I don't know, maybe part of you just felt disconnected, and that's how the episode kept moving, that you weren't
Right.
sure. What was that movie? Inception, like a dream within a dream within a dream. Like,
Yep.
it's
Yeah.
just you
Yeah.
constantly weren't sure what was really going on. And I'm
Mhm.
going to assume that was intentional.
Yeah.
I think that was. And like you said earlier, Victor, I don't think it was communicated in the most clear way that it was actually like all a dream at the end. Because, like I said, I missed that completely, and I was very confused as to why her body was there at the end.
Yeah, you needed
Well,
Haley
that's-
Joel Osment to show up and say, like, I see dead people. They don't know they're dead. Hint, hint,
Yeah.
hint. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and they did try to show that where they rewound it back just a little bit to when he started getting zapped.
Yeah.
And you see Teal'c come in, and because at the opening you see him, he activates the staff weapon, and then it goes to opening credits. And at the end you see him open the staff weapon and then fire. So they tried to show that everything that just happened was a dream, and this is really the reality of what happened.
Yeah. And the cheesy, horrible effect of when Shara gets like pulled away from Daniel, and like, and you get that like weird, like warping, like 90s warping screen effect didn't help either. Cause there were better ways of doing it. Like, I don't know. Like just, I
That
don't
was
know.
the thing back then.
Yeah, it was, but
The whirlpool effect was really cool. I mean, that was top of the line technology.
yeah.
Every Windows wallpaper could do it. Oh,
Yeah, the little pinch distort effect or whatever it was called. Yeah. In Photoshop.
Yeah.
Let's see. Does Teal'c have a monstrous in his room?
Well, that's
Like,
what it looked like.
Yeah, it did, but it looked like a Pier 1 monstrous or something. Like on it didn't look like a real one. It looked kind of like one they'd sell at Pier 1.
that's funny.
Well, that is the place to get your monster.
Yeah.
Sure. Oh.
Uh,
Yeah, I like your additions to this plot, Victor. It does make it more interesting.
yeah, and now we're off to Keb, right? I mean,
Oh, right.
is
Yep.
and is Keb the one like where the Buddhist monk lives that he talks? Okay, so that's coming up still. Cool. Yeah, I like that episode.
I don't know when that is.
Oh,
When does that?
we don't get to see much of it, but we get to see Dr. Fraser in her military dress uniform.
We did?
Yeah, just for a brief moment.
Yeah, at the funeral.
Yeah.
I do also
So now-
like at near the end of Daniel's vision when they go to that planet, they have everything like chroma keyed to like magenta.
Oh, yeah.
All the plants are purple or magenta,
Yeah.
whatever color you want to call it.
I
Yeah.
like that. That was really interesting. If you're gonna have just a momentary planet, where you don't get to see for more than a minute and a half, that was really kind of cool. Rather than it just looking
Yeah,
like
it's nice they did
Vancouver.
something different.
But then the poppies make them all sleepy,
Yeah.
and the Good Witch has to make it snow. Keeping on this was a very Wizard of Oz, like, and you were there episode.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to see Keb in season 3, episode 20.
Okay.
Maternal
So not that
Instinct.
far off then.
Yeah.
Nice. So 10 episodes from now.
Hell, we had a whole lot of cool episodes between now. But yeah.
Good.
Very cool. And next time we see Abydos, I think it's the real Abydos that's sunny and not the rainy season Abydos with the gray skies and the.
See, this wasn't Abydos. This was another planet.
Yeah, the planet at the beginning was an Abydos.
No, but where they buried her was presumably on Abydos, right?
Oh. That was
Yeah.
supposed to be Abydos, yes.
Yeah, and it was just kind of gray.
It was
But-
a sand pit near Vancouver.
Yeah.
They couldn't
Yep,
wait for
exactly.
clear skies.
They just happened to get a gray day.
Yeah. I do.
Now, I don't know.
I was
go
saying,
ahead,
I do
Lisa.
like that they give Daniel a little shift in his purpose. Because for so long
Mhm.
he talks about his wife when it was convenient. I'll say sounds really terrible,
Mhm.
but it can only go on for so long. We had to have a resolution to Shara, So, I mean, I hate that she was killed, but we have a resolution and now he can work towards something else. And for now, it is Narcissus. So, and maybe he'll find love again, not with Sam.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. Yeah. Yeah, he never really seemed to have a sense of urgency about finding her, which I always thought was kind of funny. It'd be mentioned every once in a while, but I feel like in reality, he'd want to be going through the gate constantly and not coming back until he's found her.
Well, and he even said in this episode, as part of his dreams, like, every time to walk through the gate, I knew she was out there somewhere. And the Moody Blues, I know you're out there somewhere.
Yeah, I felt like it needed to be done. You know, because we weren't really focusing on it. It wasn't his main. It's kind of like same with Skara, right? You know, we don't hear Jack talk about him much, and that we're going to deal with it in just a little bit. So that's going to get a resolution also.
Jack's too busy making like lame deja vu jokes. Which again, that's Daniel's mental version of Jack, so maybe that explains it. But you know, where they walk in and somebody says, "Oh, deja vu, deja vu, deja vu."
Yep.
He doesn't like you because you're way smarter than him, or what was that?
Yeah, you're threatened by his. He's threatened by your intelligence. Although I did like Rothman's salute after he's dismissed from the team by Jack, and he realizes it's because Daniel's back, and he gives this little happy like wave salute, and yeah, I like that.
Kind of a see ya.
Yeah.
He's glad to be out.
But yeah, Jason Shambing has been in everything, going all the way back to Nightman, which is kind of my like Rosetta Stone or reference point for Stargate actors, because it's kind of where they all first appeared, was in this, you know.
Was like one of the first shows that filmed in Vancouver? Is that why?
I think so. Yeah, it was the one about the the superhero who plays like smooth jazz on a saxophone while he flies around and solves crimes at night.
For that one.
I've not seen that, but it sounds amazing.
Yeah. It's got a good pedigree. Like people who wrote and like worked on that, like did Star Trek shows, Andromeda, Stargate, Supernatural. So it's kind of where it's like a nexus point in the, you know, it's a fixed point in time, I think, is in the Doctor Who parlance.
Okay.
But yeah,
I'm looking at his profile, and he is definitely a Vancouver worker, and he does have My Little Pony. Didn't we just talk about My Little Pony? And he's been in a whole lot of Hallmark stuff that I've seen, and he was on Arrow. So there's a whole lot of Vancouver going on here.
Yeah, he's an actor who works, as they say.
Works a lot.
Well, you know, Victor, you said he was a fixed point in time in Doctor Who parlance. He was born in 1963.
Oh, wow.
March 23rd instead of November 23rd, but still, you know, coincidence? I think not.
He could be a Time Lord. You heard it here first.
Nice. Awesome. Did y'all have any other thoughts on this episode?
Well, it was a part of the vision, but apparently Jack can also lockpick, sort of. He ends up basically destroying the lock, but he can pick it.
Sounds like he smashed it, but yeah.
Or kick the door in or something, yeah.
The only difference between lockpicking and smashing is you can reuse the lock after lockpicking. Yeah,
but
that's
sounds like Daniel didn't know that.
Yeah, exactly.
Couldn't have been too bad.
I guess if the door was off the frame or something, and like, yeah, it would.
I had one question. So Peter DeLuise, where was his cameo? Did anyone see him?
No, I didn't.
He was the machine gun turret that Jack was on.
Yeah, he was the actor inside of it, making it go like an R2D2.
He's not credited anywhere, but yeah, I know he always pops up. So I didn't have to go watch it again.
He was
now there were people
he was wrapped in the linen in the funeral scene.
Yeah, there were people in the when they're in the gate room where you couldn't see up into the control room. Or you could see in the control room, but it was out of focus. Maybe he was up there somewhere.
One of the mourners at the funeral. I didn't notice they had a few.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I didn't. Usually you get a moment of his face, but like, where's Waldo?
Yeah.
one thing I noted to make the connection, but then I didn't actually like see if there was a connection, is when they do go to the purple planet, and Jack says there's no big signs of human civilization here. So Daniel's like, right, I'll go look for itsy bitsy artifacts, and that's when he like stops and like hightails it for the gate and goes back to the the big firefight planet that they were on. So I guess, like, was it something in the phrase itsy bitsy artifacts that triggered, like, there was something I missed that was like some small detail at that like tent site, or maybe I'm just reading too much into it. I thought that like the phrase like itsy bitsy artifacts, which I just like saying, may have triggered him somehow.
Or did he just say, you know what, this is I can get off planet and then go back instead of trying to, do the dial up from SGC and get caught.
That's what I thought. It was always kind of his plan once they get off world. It's his chance to go somewhere else because it's easier than trying to figure out how to get on a computer.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like.
Not the itsy bitsy artifacts.
That hard cut of him just like leaping through the Stargate.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anything else?
No.
All right, before we go, we'd like to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create The Secrets of Stargate, including Tom H., Randy W., Mary K., Kathleen B., and Brian D. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue The Secrets of Stargate and all the shows at StarQuest. And you can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. Be sure to follow the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or on the SQPN YouTube channel. And you can also join us on our new Discord at sqpn.com/discord, where we like to get together and have fun talking about all these shows. To find previous episodes of Secrets of Stargate and to send feedback, please visit sqpn.com/Stargate. And you can email us at stargate@sqpn.com or follow StarQuest on social media at facebook.com/StarQuestMedia or on Twitter at SQPN. And we'll be back next time when we'll be discussing the next episode of SG-1, past and present. Until then, Father Cory, thank you for joining me and sharing the secrets of Stargate.
Thank you, Jack.
And Lisa Jones, thank you as well.
Thanks, Jack.
And Victor Lambs, thank you too.
Thanks, Jack. And until next week, I'll miss all the salty, bad-tempered insults and illogical arguments.
Nice.
And you're the one making them.
I know. That's why I'll miss them.
Like the sound of your own voice.
Yes.
And once again, I'm Jack Baruzzini. Thank you for listening to The Secrets of Stargate on StarQuest.
Anyway, I'm sorry, but that just happens to be how I feel about it. What do you think?